Hi lovies, I'm Lutando Mawasoa, and to this tutorial I will be showing you guys how I achieved the invisible knotless twist. It is beginner friendly. I'll be telling you the pros and the cons of this hairstyle, and it is protective towards your hair. Hope you do find it very helpful. I use the Brazilian wool, and you can get this from any beauty store. I use a tail comb and some gel wax, and then I also use some small elastic bands for the end of the hair. After getting a hang of it, this is for the non-braiders. So the square in which you're going to plait, you divide that also in two, and then you take one section and you plait a knot. And then just make sure that you do not start it from the root, because we are trying to achieve a knotless braid. So you divide the two and you plait it separately. And then after plaiting it separately, I used a crocheting hook, which I also got from the beauty supply store. It was also around about 15-20 rand. So after that, you take the Brazilian wool and you divide it into two. So normally the strands come into 8, so I divided into 4 and 4. So in each braid it takes only 4 strands and 4 strands. So then I put the Brazilian wool through the hook and I drag it through the hair, and making sure that it's both equal on both sides. The reason why I didn't start from the root is because I do want to give the braid a very clean look, a knotless look. But obviously, because I am not a professional braider and I'm trying this for the first time, so this is the method that you would use. So you start with the twisting, and then with feeding, it does take time to get it. And the reason why I put the gel by my hair is because I'm avoiding it from puffing up the following day or within that week. So with the feeding process, you get the twist right as you carry on twisting. So that's why I also first got the twist right, and then after that I started showing you guys. So the more you do it, I'd rather advise you to start doing your hair from the back rather than starting in front, so that by the time you get to the front you are able to actually twist. So here I was done with the back, and I didn't mind that the lines weren't straight because it is the back. I just cared most about the front. So the reason why I love this hair is that Brazilian wool is so light. It is not heavy at all towards the hair, and the tension is not too much. It does not tangle too much around my hair. So this one is for a braider, for someone who has been braiding their hair. So the reason why we moved my hairline is because it is quite a hairstyle that has tension to your hair, because obviously the first day you do your hair, there is tension to your scalp and the hair pulling. So how I start is I start it as though I'm doing a knotless braid, and then I start feeding into the knotless braid. So if you don't know how to do a knotless braid, I would advise you to check a tutorial on how to actually do that. So after feeding a few times, I separate it into two, and then I start twisting before I feed again with the bigger piece of the wool. So then it obviously does give that knotless invisible twist instead of just twisting from the root. And also the reason why I'm not twisting from the root is to giving the long lasting effect, because my hair is 4C. So after twisting a few times, like I said, you do end up getting the twisting right, and it's obviously going the opposite directions, but as you twist you are going to get it right. So I'm going to show you guys a few more times of how I actually start the braid. You do apply the gel, you separate it into 3, you start braiding your knotless braid, and you start feeding it. And then it will take time for you to get it, like I said again. So you have to start from the back to get it right, and be patient with yourself. You are going to get it right. So I did that again, and my lines, I make sure that they're very straight in front because I do like it like that. I don't really care much about the back, because one thing I've realized with knotless braids, with invisible locks, with the butterflies, is that the older it gets, the nicer it looks. So that's why I didn't really mind that the lines weren't straight at at the back. So like I said, I do apply the gel to the hair so that it doesn't puff up and it gives that neat looking effect. But the problem is that you have to find really good gel wax that will work good with your hair. But normally I use the wax that they would normally use on locks, because it is definitely designed for the thick hair. So the same thing here, I divide it into 3 and I start plaiting the knotless braid. So I go 1 to twice around and then I start feeding. So I add just 4 strands of the wool, because each strand comes with 8 strands. So I just divide it into 4 so that all the pieces are the same size. I like it like that. I don't know if I'm a perfectionist, but I just like it like that. It just makes more sense when all the braids are the same size. So I feed again with the big part and I twist, getting it right, because when you're feeding, try to hide it so it doesn't look as though you started feeding at that point. So it must be a flowing effect. So what I normally do at the end is that I take a long strand from the wool and I twist it around and I tie a knot. I try my best to at least try it twice or 3 times to just make sure that it is tight and it will not be coming off. So that's what I did, and I was almost halfway done. I was so tired by here, because doing your own hair does really get tiring because your arms are always up, but I like it because it's low maintenance and it saves a lot of money. So the same way is that I start the braid and then I start feeding with the strands, 4 on each side, so I make sure that they're all the same size. And one thing, always try and apply the gel, because normally if you don't, when you wake up tomorrow, your hair is literally gonna show where it ends, and personally I don't like that, and I try my best to keep my hair for close to 3 weeks to 4 weeks, of which that is a month. So with the twisting process, it does take time, but you will get it right. Trust in me. I got it right, which means you can also get it right. So this was the last part. So after opening the last block, you divide it into 3 and then you start with the knotless braid. And the trick here is to try and literally feed after each knot. So after moving once, feed again. After moving the second time, you feed again. So that tries to give it doesn't show exactly where did you feed. So with the twisting again, like I said, by the time you do the last braid, you would have been the queen of twist. So I twist again until the end and I add the gel just to give it a nice clean look, and obviously that lasts me almost a week to 2 weeks. So I tie the knot again when I get to the end. And then after doing this, I was quite indecisive of what length I actually wanted the locks to be. If I wanted them to actually be shorter than they already were. So I decided on the length and then I cut them. They were just shorter than they already were. And I really loved this hairstyle. So I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And if you want to see how I styled it, you can go and check out my TikTok on a few hairstyles to do for a full week. See you guys on my next video.